Hi, I'm Jessica Townsend, author of the Nevermoor series. I'd love to read you a scene from the fourth book in the series, Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow. In this scene, Morrigan and her friends are marching in the Black Parade on Hallowmas for the first time ever, when the parade is interrupted by the concerned citizens of Nevermoor. The parade was halted in its tracks as people swarmed through the barriers and into the empty street in front of them, a choreographed stream coming from every direction to block their path. Without even thinking about it, Morrigan, Cadence, Hawthorne, Thadia and Lamb stepped in front of the younger members of Unit 920, and the others followed in less than a heartbeat. "Send her back! Send her back! Send her back!" The familiar voice of Laurent St. James, founder of the Concerned Citizens of Nevermoor Party, campaigner against animal rights, loud owner of terrible opinions, and most notably, in the words of Jupiter North, some rich idiot, boomed unpleasantly from his beloved megaphone. "Ugh, not this guy again. Hasn't he shouted about you enough for one lifetime?" Cadence muttered to Morrigan. "Take a day off, mate." "The concerned citizens of Nevermoor say nevermore," shouted St. James. "Nevermore will we allow our city to be controlled by a maker of monsters, by a wolf in sheep's clothing, by a too powerful, too dangerous, megalomaniacal despot." "Is he talking about me?" Hawthorne said quietly, grinning as he lifted the sleeve of his cloak to reveal his werewolf costume again. How rude. Morrigan almost laughed, but not quite. "Nevermore will we allow our citizens to be put at risk. The Wonder Society has smuggled in a Wundersmith from the Wintersea Republic, our enemy nation. We must rise as one and say nevermore. Nevermore will we allow them to do as they please, running their wild schemes on the taxpayer's coin and putting our children in danger." He paused, picking up a small child beside him and lifting her onto his shoulders. "We must rise up and demand that they send her back." Then he handed the megaphone up to the little girl, whose tiny voice grew monstrous as she shrieked, "Send her back! Send her back!" Morrigan felt she might vomit. She turned in a circle, but there was nowhere to go. She was surrounded by so-called concerned citizens holding signs with slogans like, "Monsters welcome nevermore," and "Hey Wintersea, we don't want your Wundersmith." Though they'd grown since she'd last seen them, still they numbered only 100, maybe 2, but there were thousands of Nevermorians lining Lightwing Parade, and even some of them took up the chant. Unit 919 closed around her. "Do something, you fool," came a sharp shout. Morrigan turned to the sound of the voice and saw a familiar pale face in the crowd, twisted with disgust. Her fingertips tingled with gathering wonder. He was right, she ought to do something. She had to do something. "Morg! Morg, I'm coming!" The sea of black cloaks parted to let Jupiter through, still holding his candle aloft. He launched himself to the front of the parade, blazing with righteous anger, shouting, "How dare you!" And Laurent St. James put the child back on the ground, squaring up to Jupiter and bellowing, "Send her back! Send her back!" right into his face. Several things happened at once. Unbalanced, Jupiter dropped his night beacon candle. It rolled into the crowd of concerned citizens, still alight. The little girl reached down to pick it up and time slowed to a crawl, and Morrigan felt every drop of water in her body turn to ice. She wanted to shout a warning, but the words stuck in her throat, so she ran for the candle instead, fingers tingling as she grabbed it just in time, and they were everywhere. Everywhere. There was no wondrous defense against this, no way of unseeing it. The artists were all wrong. They were too gentle. They lied. The misery they'd painted wasn't big enough. It wasn't hard enough. It wasn't frightening or painful or ghastly enough. The unresting wore their guilt on the outside. Like chains, like thick vines, creeping around their hands and feet, wrapped around their necks, forever twisting, tightening, squeezing. The night beacon didn't just let Morrigan see them, it let her hear them too. And that was worse. It was so much worse. It was unbearable. "No rest," they sang without words. "No rest." Morrigan wanted to weep. She wanted to run. She could hear words beneath the wailing, could hear her name spoken in familiar, panicked voices, but they felt so far away, and all she could see was the unresting. A ghoulish woman advanced on her, mouth open in a silent scream, reaching out with pale, grasping hands through a tangle of vines. "Get away from me!" Before the words even left her mouth, Morrigan regretted them. A sea of faces turned towards her, black socket eyes and gaping maws growing wide with horror or hunger. She'd broken the rules, she'd noticed the unresting, and they'd noticed her right back. I hope you enjoyed this little teaser, and I hope you enjoy reading the rest of Silverborn.